Welcome, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to this webinar for busy lawyers. These monthly webinars are designed to bring you practical information in 20 to 30 minutes that you can implement immediately in your practice. I'm Susan Litterman White, and I'm a practice advisor here at Mass LOMAP. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Annie Scranton, the founder and president of PACE PR. Annie has been working with small legal firms for many years to secure regular coverage on both local and national media outlets like Fox News, CNN, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, and MSNBC. Annie worked for 8 years as a seasoned television producer with a resume that includes major networks such as CNN, Fox News, CNBC, MSNBC, and ABC. Acting as a guest booker for these various networks, recent clients have been thrilled with placements on these networks, and Fox Business Network, Bloomberg TV, Pix Morning News, and various print and website outlets. Before working in television, Annie started out at a local small boutique public relations firm where she concentrated on local news coverage and newspaper and magazine placements for her clients. Before that, she worked as a local reporter for the New Jersey-based newspaper, the Asbury Park Press, where she covered local politics and business openings. Annie is a graduate of Smith College, where she served as the editor-in-chief of the weekly newspaper. She now serves on the board of directors for the New York Smith College Club and is an executive committee member for the charity, the Catholic Big Sisters and Big Brothers. Annie is a member of the New York Women in Communications, helping women in communications in all disciplines and at all career stages to reach their full potential by promoting their professional growth. The Step Up Network, a nonprofit membership organization igniting women and girls to fulfill their potential, and a platinum member of Ladies Who Launch, connecting all women entrepreneurs across the country. Before I turn it over to Annie, I'd like to let you know that we will have time at the end to take questions from you. So if a question comes up during the presentation, just put it right into the chat box. And at the end, I will relay the questions to Annie. So Annie, if you're ready, take it away.
Sure. Hi. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And so, as you can see, the presentation today is how lawyers can tap into media to develop your own business and your own practice. So that is what I will be discussing. So you might be asking yourself, if you're watching TV, how did that lawyer get on TV? For a lot of us, if you watch cable news or even local news, frequently attorneys are a traditional type of guest who can talk about obviously legal cases, but there's federal issues, even political issues these days are a lot of times the guests that they're using are more and more frequently lawyers. So even though getting involved in the media can seem like an intimidating task, there are a few surefire, easy steps that you can take to get yourself and your firm noticed in the media and even on TV. So what I'm going to talk about now are those best tips for getting in the spotlight. So the first one, it sounds pretty intuitive, but I can't stress it enough, is to have a media-friendly website. So what does this mean? Obviously, your website, I'm sure, is already looking good and is easy to navigate and loads quickly. But in terms of making it media friendly, one of the first things you want to do is to post any videos of past interviews or news clips right on your homepage, right in the center of the page. You might be thinking, well, I haven't done any interviews, so how can I do that? Well, then the second tip here is to consider investing in a production team to film some short video clips of yourself. These clips can be anything from describing what sets your firm apart from others in a similar space, or to explaining a major case you won, or to talking about a little bit more in depth on the different members of your team or the areas of focus that your practice specializes in. If you don't have the capital to invest in a production team, which honestly, you can find them that are not that expensive, and I'm happy to give a recommendation if anybody wants one. You can even consider trying to do this yourself. More and more people are doing different versions of Facebook Lives and other videos themselves that you can honestly do with an iPad or an iPhone, and mount the camera, have a steady shot, and it's really a way that not only can prospective clients of yours easily know who you are and get a sense of the type of attorney they'd be working with, but for the media, a TV producer is going to be really hesitant to put you on TV unless there is a video that they can watch of you doing an interview, so that way they can see the type of guest that you would be. They want to know that, honestly speaking, they want to know that you look good, but beyond that, they want to know that you can describe the story or the case or the matter in a way that's easily relatable for the people watching. So I can't stress enough how important having that video is. In addition to that, it's a really good idea to create a media tab on your website. This is something where you can house all of your videos, ones that are either clips from TV interviews you've done or radio interviews you've done, to print and digital articles that perhaps you or someone from your firm was featured in. Perhaps there's trade publications that you've had a big interview or big feature in. You could put that there. And of course, you could have different press releases there as well. So news producers are going to be looking at these videos when they consider the guests. So that's why this is so important to have these videos on your site. The next step that I would recommend is to start blogging. So some of you may or may already be doing this, but it's really something that you should try to get comfortable with. And you can start by writing about trials that you're currently working on or cases that you're working on. Even if you are not able to give the specific case or specifics about the case, there may or may not be a trend that you've noticed in terms of what's new in the legal world, or there might be either tips or advice that you think is relatable to a broader audience. That's the kind of thing that's really good about blogging. And of course, if you're able to write about stories that the media is covering, one that immediately pops into head is the ongoing Russia investigation in terms of the Trump campaign. Right now in TV, we're seeing a need for a lot of former federal prosecutors who can opine and give their legal expertise to this story. It's just one idea that might be completely out of your wheelhouse, but it would be important to try to write about something that's currently being covered in the news. This is a way that you can showcase your writing and prove to journalists that you already know how to begin the process of positioning yourself as an expert in the field. People are always talking about becoming a thought leader. Well, one of the first steps to becoming a thought leader is to write, and it's to have your thoughts on a current relevant news story be out there. So blogging is a great way to do this. Additionally, blogs will help boost your media presence, but also your SEO rankings. Some of you may already work with SEO firms out there, but if there's, keywords, best Massachusetts lawyer, best Boston lawyer, best Western Massachusetts lawyer, those are obviously tactics that are going to help people when they need a lawyer to find you in a search engine. But to have some of your blogs or videos also be coded for SEO is also an interesting idea. And a lot of people, such as myself, prefer to watch videos or read an article that somebody has written rather than just poke around on a website. So that's something to think about as well. And then the last points for your blogs are to remember that it's really a good idea to have a strong point of view. in terms of the media meaning TV shows, networks, radio programs, they love interviewing a lawyer who can take a passionate stance on a case. So it's really good to sort of develop what your point of view is and the way that you can sort of frame that within the context of the media and what they are covering that day in the news. Another tactic that I would strongly recommend is to invest in social media. Twitter is a major platform that is really important for any blog or story or video that you do. It should be on Twitter. As a former journalist and working with current journalists now, journalists who really utilize Twitter, there's obviously a lot of different social media platforms from Facebook and Instagram. Facebook may be a great place for you to find prospective clients through some of those Facebook Live videos, and certainly in investing and boosting those posts and having those posts be sponsored. But for the media, they're going to immediately go to your Twitter handle and see, okay, how many followers does this firm have? How often are they tweeting? If they see, oh, there hasn't been a tweet since 2015, that's not really a good sign. So there are platforms such as TweetDeck and others out there that would allow you to consistently have a presence if you can hire somebody or have an intern do it for you. But it's definitely something that I would say is pretty important. You also want to always be certain that you're using the appropriate hashtags and @mentions to get more tractions and clicks. This is something that you could do if you're commenting on a specific story in the news. You might want to use that hashtag to get more people who will be searching for that and then take notice of your firm. Social media is really essentially free press for you and your practice. So it's something that can seem overwhelming, but it's actually not that challenging to update your Twitter presence a few times each day. It really only should take a few minutes. And with, as I mentioned, with platforms such as TweetDeck, it should be pretty easy to do. And then lastly, as I mentioned, more and more journalists are finding their guests on social media. So you really don't want to miss out on this. You want to jump on the bandwagon for sure. Next, for dealing with the media, you want to determine what type of media outlets you want to be in. So the first step to that is to do as broad of a scope of looking into the different outlets of media as possible. So as I say here, is it your dream to be featured in the Wall Street Journal? Or are you trying to go for more of a live interview on a station like Fox News Channel or CNN? It's important to understand which outlet would be the best suited for your practice. This then goes back to what are the goals of your firm? Is the goal of your firm to get new clients? Is the goal of your firm to have more of an overall brand awareness? You need to think about this because different media outlets are going to serve different purposes. Traditionally speaking, a large-scale national interview is going to help boost your overall brand awareness and perhaps the profile of one of your attorneys. And a local interview may be better suited for trying to get new clients and raise the awareness locally. So you need to really take the time to figure that out. Also, use LinkedIn to your advantage, Twitter as well. This is a great way and a tactic that we at my PR firm use all the time. Journalists switch jobs quite frequently. So it's important to keep tabs on which outlets they're writing for and where they are within their career. By looking at a journalist LinkedIn or Twitter profile, you're going to get a sense of what types of stories they're covering. Do they write about different legal cases in the news? Do they write about stories about starting your own business? Do they write about, trends within the legal community? By seeing what types of stories already the journalists are writing about, you can then figure out how to best position yourself to that journalist to fit into the types of stories that and their wheelhouse of what they cover. And, you know, lastly, when you go out to contact the reporter, you want to make sure you can make a reference and say to that reporter, "Dear Annie, I saw that last week you wrote a story about the biggest trends in the legal community. Well, I want you to know that I'm seeing a new trend within the legal community, and I thought that this could potentially be a good story for you." This will show the journalist that you're smart, you've taken the time to understand his practice, and that you're hopefully adding to their repertoire, not just pitching yourself for free publicity. When you begin pitching, excuse me, you want to limit yourself and be careful to not bombard journalists at first. It's really my referral or my recommendation to reach out via email and see if you get a response from them there. When doing this, it's really important to position yourself as a really important resource who will make their job easier. Journalists often need experts and thought leaders to give that critical commentary or opinion on whatever story they're writing on. That would potentially be an area where you would fall into. So you want to present your background. You want to make reference to the fact that you know that these are the types of stories that they're covering because you've done your homework on that journalist, and then offer a point of view, basically, that the journalist can potentially sink his teeth into. You also want to weave your legal expertise into a larger trend within the field of law, or as I said, tie it back into a current trial or legal story that's getting media attention. You want to keep your emails right to the point. Nobody these days, I think, has time to read long-winded emails. So keep it short and sweet. You know, identify yourself as an expert within your scope of law, and say that you're available for commentary based on the types of stories you know that journalist to be writing about. You want to work your way up within the media. You want to have goals, but at the same time, you need to be sensible and realistic about your experience and where you can go with it. If your goal is to become a legal analyst on Fox News or another network, you have to start small. And so by doing that, really local or streaming news networks is a great way to do that. You probably are familiar with your own Massachusetts local TV stations. There's also a streaming network called Law News, and that's a great way to kind of get your feet wet with getting some legal commentary experience. Same with newspapers or even the trade publications like Law 360, etc. It's all considered media. And so by having an article that you were quoted with on your media tab, when you work your way up, you will be able to say, yes, I've done interviews, I understand the drill, and make yourself a valuable part of the process. Through practice, when you're interacting with the media, you will then be able to figure out how to clearly and succinctly give smart answers that will help you to land those bigger interviews. You want to always play to your strengths as well. You want to find out what is the best areas that suit you and present you in the best light, meaning what are the stories that are going to be the most impactful and meaningful for you to comment on to achieve your goals. Even the most quick-witted lawyers, and I know you all talk for a living and debate, going on live television is a different beast. And so you really want to be able to think about, you know, how to choose your words carefully and explain your thoughts. TV legal discussions and debates are best for expressing your side and your point of view in real time next to another person's strengths. So if you're somebody who loves to debate, then live cable news interview, that might be a great place for you. If you're somebody who wants to be able to take more time and be more thoughtful in your approach, then doing print and digital interviews might make more sense for you. as I was talking about, you want to do your homework. You want to be up to speed on the legal cases that are trending in the media so that you're ready to assist a reporter whenever they may be for help. It's my job to scan the news every morning, and with the lawyers we work with, to help them identify what stories they could potentially talk about. You could start doing that too. And you could start out by doing that and then writing a 500-word blog on your opinion on that case. At that point, you can then identify which journalists are writing about that case and either send them the blog or send them your point of view. These then can be turned into talking points. When you do a TV interview, a producer is always going to ask you for your talking points. These are simply just a few short bullet points that showcase your point of view. You want to also always be looking for interesting legal issues and trending news stories, because eventually you could pitch that as a suggestion to a reporter. But you always want to have those talking points to back yourself up. And those talking points should have a strong point of view, such as, this lawsuit is completely unfounded because of A, B, and C, or why you agree with the lawsuit and think that person is going to win. Timing is everything in the media. So if you want to snag that available spot in a legal panel or get quoted in a legal article, you need to work quickly and get your point of view out today. Some of you may know the Equifax story is a big story where there's definitely been legal commentary. That's an example of a trending news story that, you know, is a really big one that could get some play for you in the media if that's in your wheelhouse. Most reporters are working on deadline. So, you know, for TV shows, they have to produce every single day. For print newspapers, it's every day as well. Digital, there's multiple articles a day. So you just want to be cognizant of reporters' deadlines. And so this all comes down to being prepared. And being prepared is knowing how to brand and position yourself to fall back in line with the goals of your firm. And that's it. And this is my contact information if anybody is interested. So thank you very much for having me.
Annie, thank you so much. These were great tips. We have a few questions.
Nice to meet you.
Somebody is not on mute. If you could put yourself on mute and just type in your questions, that would be terrific. We have a few. So let me ask this question of you. So some people were wondering, you know, if they've never really, you know, they've seen themselves on video and they're not really happy, they don't really look alive. Is there anything that they can do, you know, to kind of prepare for a live interview on video if they've not done that before?
Yes. So practice. And how do you practice? I would say to actually grab your partner, your colleague, your husband or wife, and do a mock interview, but also just set up your iPhone or your iPad and record it and watch it back. That will give you a lot of insights into what you like about how you've done or what you don't like about the interview. Beyond that, you want to really be able to, you know, the practice of your sound bites and just being able to succinctly within like 20, 30 seconds be able to get your point across. That does take practice. On a more like tactical, you know, level, you want to make sure that you are pleased with your hair and makeup and your wardrobe. So for the women listening, it's really important to identify ahead of time, you know, does that TV station provide hair and makeup? And if not, invest in doing it, in getting it done, because you will be your harshest critic for that. In terms of wardrobe for men, wearing, you know, a suit and tie, but a suit and tie that's understated, that's not a busy print, is important. And for women, to have a solid color, no stripes, no polka dots, no patterns. And usually we recommend like a jewel tone as well. That usually comes up well on practice. But really the key to nailing an interview is to practice, so that way you can feel as prepared as possible.
Oh, that's really, really helpful. Another question that's sort of at the other end there. So, if somebody should get a call from a reporter, so there isn't that opportunity to really plan in advance, what should you do?
So if you get a call and you pick it up and a journalist is on the line saying, can you give me a comment, on this story? If you don't feel comfortable off the cuff giving the interview, say either I think I'm happy to get to do this interview, but I'm running into a meeting right now. Can I get your name and number and call or email you right back? Give yourself, 20 to 30 minutes to review the case, review the story, and see if you feel comfortable. That time frame is fine for journalists. Now, for TV, if a TV show says, we have an opportunity, and we need you to be in the studio tonight, and it's only a few hours away, I would say that if you can, make yourself available, because TV producers, if they reach out to you and then you're not available, they will be less likely to go back to you in the future. So I would say, if at all possible, make yourself available and then spend a good portion of the time you have ahead of that preparing and prepping. And once you've agreed to do a TV interview, you can ask the producer for as much information as possible. Will I be on set, or is this a remote interview? What kinds of, commentary or point of view are you looking for? Is there anything specific that you definitely want me to get across in this interview? It's okay to ask for more information, but I would say that if you can, to jump on it and to act as quickly as possible.
These are really great tips about what to do to get noticed by the media, and then what to do once you have been noticed. We have one last question. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do when you work with your clients?
So how I work with my clients, and we do work with a lot of lawyers, is we, just structurally, typically we do a monthly retainer, and what we do within that scope of work is to help identify sort of the overall brand messaging of the firm or of the solo attorney. And then we identify within their scope of practice, what are the media outlets that they want to be hitting? Is it local? Is it national? Is it print? Is it digital? Is it TV? Is it radio? Is it trades? Is it all of it? And then we try to understand what that firm or attorney's goals are. And so by identifying the goals, then we're able to figure out, well, what are the media outlets that are going to help achieve those goals? We help our lawyers write their own opinion pieces, which are known as op-eds. We also help to train them and get them prepped to do TV and radio. And our job is to do our best to secure and land those media appearances. Media relations, as it's known, is the only thing my firm focuses on. So by the end of an engagement, which is typically 6 months, we would have hopefully a really nice body of work of local media, national media, written press, trade press, and we try to just work in conjunction with the goals of that firm and sort of just enhance that lawyer or that practice within the media.
Thank you so much, Annie. Thanks for sharing your time and your advice with us. We will provide a recording and slides on our website, www.masslawmap.org, in the not too distant future. So thank you everyone for tuning in today, and please mark your calendars for next month's webinar, which will be on October 10th. And we'll have Marsha Wasserman and Andrew Elowit talking about the best practices of a champion delegator. Thanks for tuning in, and have a terrific afternoon, everybody.
Thank you.